doors open or can't even envision reopening their doors that have been temporarily closed because of this pandemic. And it's not lost on me, it shouldn't be lost on any of you, the disproportionate number of those small business men and women that are represented in minority communities, and in particular women-owned businesses that are overrepresented in that 44% statistic. And so this is really about the lifeblood of California and its economy. It's about a sense of pride and spirit that we all have, and sense of place in our own communities, so indelibly marked by the contributions of entrepreneurs that create the serendipity that is a part of life. The ability to walk down your sidewalk, to run into strangers, to have experiences and magical moments that define an abundant life. The ability to sit there in a coffee shop, maybe overhear some strangers walking in, get a sense of perspective in your own life, a sense of context in your relationship to your life, to others. Those are experiences provided by small businesses, by people that put everything on the line and take pen to paper, come up with an idea and advance a dream. And so really this is about the California dream, and this is about our embracing that dream in a more robust and arguably refined way. And so today we'll be signing 3 pieces of legislation to support our small business community. And this is part of a package of small business supports, over a dozen specific actions that have been taken over the last number of months to support our small businesses throughout the state of California. I'll talk in much more detail about a number of those actions, but I want to bring up one of the leaders, one of the great advocates in the state legislature for small businesses, someone who was a small businesswoman herself for roughly a quarter of a century, someone who understands the challenges and travails of small businesses all throughout the state of California, not just in her current capacity as a state senator in her own district, but someone who's had a broader capacity of understanding, representing the state in her former role and capacity working in the executive branch under the previous administration. And that's Senator Caballero, who I'd love to come up and in particular highlight her advocacy on a bill to create a hiring tax credit in the state of California, one of the most significant tax credits in our state history that targets the needs of our small businesses in particular and addresses the direct impacts of COVID-19 and this pandemic in effort and in order to provide more supports for businesses to come back more robustly and hire more people and have a financial leg up in that process. So with that, let me just invite up the senator. She'll talk about her bill, broader package, and then I'll walk through some of the other bills that we're signing and some of the more specific reforms that we're also advancing in the state. Senator?
Well, thank you to Governor Newsom. I just have to say that it has been an extreme pleasure for me to work with you and your staff as we've worked so hard this year to try to come up with solutions to a global pandemic. You have been a great champion of small businesses, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I represent the 12th Senate District, which is a rural agricultural district. And so small businesses play a huge role in this district. Many of the small businesses are minority owned and just as importantly, immigrant owned. Immigrants come to this country looking for the American dream and quite frankly to California looking for the California dream. And they come with very few resources, but a lot of energy, a lot of talent and family that help them make their small businesses a success. And this pandemic has really placed an incredible burden on them and their family because their dreams have been delayed, and in many instances, they're wondering whether they're going to survive this pandemic economically because of the requirement to shelter in place and to keep their family safe. And so, as I talked with these small businesses all over the state, their number one issue was, where am I going to get the capital? Where am I going to get the ability to start hiring the people that have been staying at home, that have not been working? how am I going to be able to do this? And we sat down and had a conversation among the Assembly and the Senate and the governor, and I was one of the lead authors on this particular bill, which is SB 1447. This bill expands California's assistance programs for small businesses during the COVID-19. So this is specifically related to this particular pandemic. And it establishes a hiring tax credit for eligible small businesses that can be applied against their income tax liabilities, personal or corporate, depending on how they file, or sales and use tax liabilities. And the importance of this particular tax credit is that for every employee that you bring back during, after the shelter-in-place orders start to change, then you get a tax credit of up to $1,000 per employee, which will be a tremendous assistance for these small businesses, along with a variety of other assistance programs that the state has developed. It's going to be critically important for them to be able to access this resource, to be able to bring their resources together and to move forward. You know, this is a tough time, and we've asked everybody to make sacrifices, both personally and professionally in terms of the business community. But they're looking for hope, they're looking for leadership, and they're looking for the opportunity to be able to access resources to make them successful. And this tax credit is going to be tremendously important. So again, I want to thank the governor for his support, for his commitment to small business, and for allowing us to do the work that we needed to do to be able to put a bill on his desk. It doesn't happen without the cooperation of everyone, and I'm very proud to say that that this came together in the last days of the legislative session, because there was a commitment among all of us to make sure that our small businesses come back. We absolutely need to see them be successful, and this is going to be one of the tools. Thank you, Governor Newsom, for your leadership. Thank you for the bill signing here today. Thank you for giving our small businesses hope as we move into the future. And thank you, because this is going to be a tremendous asset in our community, and we really appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you, Senator, and thanks again for your leadership, and also your co-authors, Cervantes and Bradford, that worked hard on this $100 million tax credit, $1,000 per hire tax credit to work against your income tax or your sales and use tax. It's eligible for small businesses less than 100 employees, and it marks a consideration that directly relates to the pandemic, that your gross income had to have declined by 50% since this time last year. And the reason we created that construct of considerations is so often with tax credits, it goes to the haves, not the have-nots. So often these open-ended tax credits go to a handful of well-resourced companies, not necessarily those small businesses that need them the most. So I want to thank, again, I use the word refinement, for the refinement of this bill to really target those most in need. And I want to again congratulate Senator Caballero for her leadership and her stewardship to advance this cause. This cause includes a number of other specific supports for our small businesses. $125 million was made available in the recent budget in the iBank to support small businesses that fall through the cracks, that aren't getting SBA loans, that didn't get the federal PPP loans. 82% of people that have applied for that iBank loan program, accessing the $125 million, 82% are women and minority-owned businesses. That's exactly why we designed this program. It's exactly who we were targeting. So we're very pleased with the progress already been made in that space. Again, that was new money that was put in recently in the budget. We did something also that was rather novel, not as significant in terms of total amount of dollars available, but incredibly important in order to leverage the private sector and in order to encourage private sector loans to people in low income and underserved communities. We put an additional $25 million up for what we call first loss payments, meaning we're guaranteeing these loans against the private sector in order to encourage the private sector to make loans in underserved communities, higher risk loans for many small businesses. In addition to that, we put $10 million into what we refer to as a seed program. These are for immigrant social entrepreneurs. Again, leading the way in this space. Not a lot of states have put any resources in this space. It's a novel program. It's a seed fund itself, meaning we want to see how effective this program is. We'll consider next year the opportunity to substantially increase the amount of funding in this space, but it's a novel program and one that we collaboratively work together to advance this year. We also work to support our small businesses in a number of other ways. We are absolutely committed to manufacturing in this state. The vast majority of manufacturers aren't the large manufacturing factories that we tend to identify in the space. Many of them are small businesses. Give you an example of those businesses. If you go to a new platform we created with the California Manufacturing Association here in the state of California, 450 businesses are in a new marketplace for a new platform to encourage procurement to take place within the state, cities procuring, counties procuring, and the state itself, as well as private sector, to support homegrown California-based manufacturers. We have 450 companies now on that site, providing over 560 products specific to the PPP issues, sanitation issues, be it hand sanitizers, face shields, masks, gowns, and the like. A small company, just as an example, that put their name on this platform recently, and we're providing face coverings. They just got an order of 25,000 face coverings. That small company out of Chico, California. Just an example of the benefits already of this new marketing platform, this new marketplace, this new manufacturing platform that we put together recently here in California. So we are absolutely committed to 2 points, reminding you that California is still the largest manufacturing state in the United States of America. I'll repeat that. California is the largest manufacturing state in the country, and California's capacity to do better is absolutely limitless as long as we provide the right incentives. And we are committed as an administration, the legislature committed to the same cause of advancing more supports for manufacturing in this state. And by the way, just as a proof point of that, while we procured a lot of N95 masks from overseas at the peak of this pandemic to deal with the scarcity of N95 masks, through this same platform, we are able to secure tens of millions of masks. I gave you an example of 25,000 masks recently in a small company in Chico, but tens of millions that came from a larger company in Santa Clara that repurposed their manufacturing plant in order to provide N95 masks for the state of California. So again, that's a proposal that is well along the way of being advanced and implemented, and one we want to build on into the future. We also want to build our marketing support to encourage people to shop safe and shop locally. We initiated through our Jobs and Economic Recovery Task Force this program in partnership with Nextdoor and Yelp and Facebook, Google, and many other platforms to help support a framework, a mindset to shop local, to go local, and to shop in a safe manner. And so that is also part of a promotion and a marketing strategy that we're also advancing here in the state. We extended by 90 days the timeline and the deadlines associated with collecting sales tax, collecting state taxes in order to support small businesses. We extended for 90 days. Relicensing requirements for small businesses in this state is another effort in order to support small business retention and development. We also provided up to $50,000 loans, interest-free, for up to 1 year for small businesses that otherwise are required to collect sales tax and then send those collections to the state. We said there are no collections required for a year, and you're able to access up to $50,000 of those sales tax. You can float those dollars to deal with cash flow needs without any penalty and without any interest attached. That's a significant program that currently has provided over $106 million of relief for small businesses. So $100 million hiring tax credit, $106 million relief in terms of floating loans up to $50,000 for sales tax that is owed to the state, a delay in terms of requirements on sales and use tax as well as income tax coming into the state, relicensing requirements pushed aside, support in terms of marketing and support that will be included in the package of bills that I'm also signing here today to conform our PPP program, where California outperformed the rest of the nation. 13% of all the PPP loans in this country came in, or rather dollars came into the state of California, $68.6 billion. $68.6 billion of loans came in to the state under the PPP program. We have a bill authored by Assemblywoman Burke that will conform to state law a ability for the PPP program to no longer require the collection of state taxes, meaning we'll waive the state tax requirement under the PPP program pursuant to the bill that I'll be signing here in a moment. The other bill we'll be signing will provide $406.7 million of accelerated bonds to be distributed, to be put to work to create thousands and thousands of jobs here in the state of California in order to get people working and moving again. So we're basically accelerating bonds that are out there that aren't being utilized, that aren't being put to work. So that acceleration includes, as I said, over $406 million. That is a part of what we refer to as the Budget Junior Bill that I'll also be signing. I said there were a dozen things, probably lost you on 7 or 8 of these. We put out information in this space, including an update on our Great Plates program. We are here at Solomon's Deli. This is a deli that opened up last year in July. 2 extraordinary women, one who's here with us, Andrea, been involved in the restaurant business for years. They put pen to paper. They took a dream, took an idea, old Tower Records in the state of California, took some of the cues of Tower Records, a little bit of its history, its founder, Solomon, and put together a deli that connected with some of the iconography, some of the spirit that was part of Tower Records here in the state of California. They put this deli, organized this deli at the peak of our economic growth last July, only to run in the buzzsaw of this pandemic. They closed on March 17th of this year, as so many other businesses did. At the peak, they had 26 employees, but they've been able to scratch their way back. Even though their revenue's way down, they've been able to work through a number of programs that the city of Sacramento has provided and the state has provided. They were able to draw down a little PPP money. They were able to use that entrepreneurial mindset, long-windedly, to figure out a way just to keep the doors open, have some outdoor seating, and they're still operating. Not as many employees, about half of where they were at peak, but they also took advantage of that Great Plates program. That Great Plates program now has supported 8,904 jobs. That's an exact number, 8,904 jobs since we conceived this first-in-the-nation program. 9.1 million meals have been served to seniors, supporting businesses like this that are providing meals that we're getting reimbursed, 75% of the dollars reimbursed by FEMA and the federal government, the state providing counties an additional 12.5%. It's a virtuous program that helps our seniors that are isolated, that are quarantined, that are addressing their own health needs, that are in an economic box where they can't afford nutritious meals. They can't afford hot meals. They can't afford deliver meals. All 3 delicious, nutritious, hot delivered meals are provided through this program, supporting restaurants, keeping jobs, encouraging job growth, and generating sales tax back to the counties, which actually creates more revenue than the 12.5% the counties are responsible for providing in this program. Great thing about Great Plates, success leaves clues. This program is now being replicated in a number of other states. We took our entrepreneurial mindset into government, came up with this program, and it's wonderful to see it operationalized all throughout the state of California. And it's wonderful to be here at a business that was, willing to test the program and willing to support it, and is now the beneficiary of the program as well. Again, it's just another example of where we are trying to help support our small business ecosystem here in the state of California. I can continue down a path of providing more examples, more proof points, but I think at this stage we'd be better off by just closing with two final points, and then coming to the reason we came here, rather concluding my remarks and signing these three pieces of legislation and moving forward. But I wanted just to acknowledge our Jobs and Recovery Task Force that has been helping us, over 120 individuals, that some of the most famous branded entrepreneurs in the United States, arguably the world, from Tim Cook to Bob Iger, that have participated in this task force for the course of the last 7 or 8 months. They helped generate some of the ideas that supported this hiring tax credit, that supported our efforts to accelerate bonds that had not gone out and been put to work. Also provided support for our Shop Safe, Shop Local program, provided tens of millions of dollars for PSAs to support safely reopening, and of course have provided supports for our sectoral guidelines in our reopening our economy. I want to just acknowledge our co-chair, both our co-chairs, my Chief of Staff, Ann O'Leary, and Tom Steyer, for their outstanding work on that task force. A lot of the work we are announcing and advancing here today comes from that brain trust. Accordingly, I want to thank my team at GoBiz. They put together an entrepreneurial task force that's partnered now with 20 different regions in this state, providing webinars and supporting our entrepreneurial ecosystem. That program is alive and well. GoBiz is also supporting our network of small business centers. We were able to draw down $34 million from the federal government to support those small business centers that are also more robust and more engaged than they've ever been. And so the GoBiz team and our Economic Development Task Force, thank you for all your good work as well. And let me just conclude, as I now sit down and sign these three pieces of legislation, by acknowledging the obvious: good enough never is. We have an enormous amount of work still to do to help support our small businesses, and we cannot do nearly enough without the support of the federal government. And that is why it's just fundamentally foundational that Congress gets its act together, particularly the Senate, and supports Nancy Pelosi, our Speaker, and the House of Representatives' efforts to advance a new CARES Act, which will profoundly impact and benefit small businesses in the state of California in a way that the state alone simply cannot do. This is foundational and is fundamental to the revival and the recovery of our economy. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't just end on that foundational point as well. But with that, let me end my formal remarks on this topic. I'll come back up, update you briefly on health numbers in the state related to coronavirus, and update you on the fires, and then of course we'll take questions. Now, with the Senator's concurrence, let's sign these three bills today. All right. So what do we have?
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job. It's a tough job. This is the easy part. You did all the hard work. I get the benefit of that. So let's see where we are. Perfect. So, Senator, let me just get to all three. I will give you all three of these, since you were a big part of all three of these. And not only sponsored, but co-sponsored the other bills. And just thank you for your leadership. And very grateful for your strong advocacy on behalf of our business community in the state.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Means a lot. It's wonderful.
Thank you. All right. Let me